And good morning to YouTube. It's time for another installment of This Week Today Live. I'm your host, Philtastic Phil, and here we are. So, right off the bat, I have to apologize to YouTube because the orientation is once again screwed up. It does not let me shift it, or else I get an error message. I don't know why that's the case. So, sorry about that. I'm a little bit more disorganized than usual, I guess you could say. I've been in the middle of reorganizing and putting away some comics. And, as you may know, if you're a fellow collector who's been collecting comics for a while, it could get a little, little involved, why don't we say. So I'm kind of surrounded by back issues at this point, but making some progress. And, hopefully things will kind of move on here. Um, I kind of liked how last week I just kind of did a little bit of off the cuff news. So I figure I'm going to continue that. Might be a shorter show than normal. That's perfectly fine. Um, Immediately off the top of my head, the one thing I could think of in the news, um, Ezra Miller, the actor who plays the Flash, was arrested a second time this week for allegedly beating up a woman in her home. Um, excuse me. I don't exactly know what's going on with Ezra Miller. Um, there aren't a whole lot of details, in my opinion at least, about this incident or the incident prior to that. The incident prior to that was just, I think, 2 weeks prior. He beat up a couple by a karaoke bar. And, there's a lot of unanswered questions. I mean, first of all, in, I don't know. I look at Ezra Miller. The guy looks like he's like 10 pounds soaking wet. What kind of chairs is he throwing? Is he throwing like dolls' chairs? Is he throwing like the plastic lawn furniture? Who's he really hurting? And I want to know the circumstances behind this. Is it just a drunken rage? Was he at the karaoke bar and he wanted to sing something from Better Than Ezra? I know it's corny, you'll get it. And they didn't have it available. I don't know, but either way, it sounds like, at least I had read one report, that Warner Brothers is not at all deterred about this. And that kind of, I found that a little, I don't want to say refreshing, but it's a little bit of a difference than what you see going on with the MCU and actually with Disney films. I mean, again, Ezra Miller beats up somebody, and Warner Brothers is supposedly perfectly fine about it. James Gunn has a couple mean tweets from years ago, and Disney lets him go for a while. Okay, yeah, they hired him back, but I think I think they kind of lost a little traction somewhere in there. Um, Johnny Depp, perfect example. He's been on trial right now with his ex-wife for defamation. Yeah, he pretty much said, "Look, I lost my Pirates of the Caribbean role because my wife was alleging abuse, even though it wasn't the case." Um, so I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting. Disney is quick to distance themselves from people, whereas Warner Brothers is like, "All right, let's hang on to it at least for a little while." Just an observation I made. Um, the George Perez tributes started coming in from both Marvel and DC. Marvel, supposedly, I have not picked it up myself. In the latest issue of Avengers, there's a very nice splash page. I did see the page online of the Avengers toasting George Perez. And DC, I believe, is dedicating the month of June to George Perez. They'll have something in all of their books, from what I've read. Um, I thought I had read something about JLA Avengers being reprinted again as a soft cover, but don't quote me to that. I'd have to take a look at that myself. So let me go on and just show you. Well, I didn't have any pickups this week, so that's kind of an easy one. No comics, but I did get Flea's memoir. Let me show you. Yeah, Flea from the Chili Peppers. Has nothing to do with comics, but music is art, so there you go. Big Chili Peppers fan. I haven't read this yet. Flea, Acid for the Children, a memoir. I got this through, I think the site is secondsale.com. Because I remember when it came out, I think they were charging like $30 for this, and I did not pay $30 at all. I could tell you that. So I look forward to cracking that open. This is a brand new edition. So I'll just go through what I read, and I tried to keep things a little bit more organized. I put some of what I read in my Swolger supply box I take to Fat Moose whenever I go shopping, and then I have some overflow rather here. So, okay, I'll go through what I read. You know, I have to tell you, there were some really, really good books this week, and yeah, some things that I think that you should check out if you're interested. The first, Black Widow number 15. This is the conclusion to the series. I talked about this a little bit last week. First of all, great cover by Adam Hughes. He has not disappointed at all with this series. He's done, I think, believe all of the covers, and they've all just been great. Like, I've preferred them over the variants 100%. The series itself ends in a pretty satisfying way. I was happy that they brought back Casagrande to do the artwork. I think her artwork has been especially strong in this book. Um, you know, I'm kind of, I still want to know, did they pull it prematurely, or was this kind of the plan to end it after this series? Because again, I feel like Kelly Thompson's just kind of been, I don't want to say gypped, but just kind of cut short a couple times by Marvel here, and then most notably in Mr. and Mrs. X. But Black Widow number 15 was a great read. I highly recommend you pick it up. Next, Marauders number 1, and this is the variant edition, because the actual edition I didn't care for. Marauders I was a little hesitant on, especially after reading the annual. Steve Orlando, the new writer who's taking over, is not one of my favorites, but I figured I would give it a whirl. And you know what? This is a different type of Marauders team. It gives me a little bit of pause where the Marauders in my mind last year when we saw them debut with House of X and House of 10 rather, and Powers of 10, you know, they were kind of the Krakoan rescue squad. If they would sail the world and help out. Now they've kind of, I see they've kind of advanced to space. And that gives me a little bit pause because it doesn't feel like the last chapter of the Marauders. Yeah, they have a different team. They just put Cassandra Nova, you know, Charles Xavier's uh, twin, on the team. But I'm going to stick with it and see how it goes. Next is X-Force Annual number 1. I thought I had read the regular X-Force issue 2, but I don't see it here. Oh, it is here. Never mind. Very, very well done. Very well done. They are really painting or putting Beast in a position, I should say, where he is quite devious and villainous. And I'm going to go into why that's important just in a few minutes when I talk about X-Men Red. I liked the overall story. It was like a trap within a trap, basically. I thought that this writer, and I'm looking for the writer's name here. Excuse me. I'm not familiar with the writer. Shamus. Anyway, I thought that the writer didn't quite capture the right attitude or the right mood for Kid Omega. But all in all, it was a good story. X-Force number 27. This is one of the few Krakoan age X-Men books that they did not start a new volume on. And I really enjoyed this book. You know, X-Force was one of the ones that was kind of on the bubble for me in the last iteration. But I think Ben Percy, the writer, has really done a great, great job about making this book a solid title. You know, it would be very easy for anybody to just throw Wolverine on a team, like he's on this team, and just say, oh, this is Wolverine and friends. But I don't know if this is a conscious effort or if he just did this. He's made it where that's not the case at all. It's an intriguing story, and just like X-Force Annual, it really is going to add into, I believe, the overall kind of arching story about what's going on in this next volume of the X-Men story. Yeah, I mean, this was a great one, and really, Wolverine isn't even the focus. Usually, when you have a team, in my opinion, where you have Wolverine on it, 9 times out of 10, he's either there for 2 seconds or the story's about him, and that's not the case here at all. They do a great job with Forge and Sage. Black Tom. I look 2 years ago, before this book started, I would have even doubted I would see Black Tom pop up in a series again, let alone be an interesting character. And he's done a really great job with this. And I'm hoping that the X office or the X team is kind of tying everything into him. and to Ben Percy, because he's doing a great job as well on the Wolverine series. Next is X-Men number 10. I've been a little critical of the main X-Men title over the past couple issues, if you've tuned in before. This was a good one. It's more of an X-23 focused story, which you can see right from the cover, of course. Um, and again, you kind of have to keep in mind that they are doing a left-hand turn from what the X-Men book was in the last volume. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In this case, it does work, at least. They brought in Lady Deathstrike, classic Wolverine villain. And yeah, I'm definitely curious to see where the story continues to go. Okay, next is X-Men Red number 1. This is the promo triptych variant, my variant of choice. I really enjoyed this book more than I thought it would. Um, it's really doing what I've been wanting the X-Men books to do since the Ten of Swords storyline ended. And that's really kind of telling us about what's going on with Araka, the other, used to be the other part of the island, now it's the other planet that the X-Men have spread to, if you're not up to date. Um, this, to be honest with you, I think is the paradigm for how the X books are going to evolve. I think this, bringing in also Immortal X-Men from last week, and X-Force especially, you're going to see a big civil war pop up in this book. And I don't have Immortal X-Men within hand, but if you look at the Mark Brooks cover of Immortal X-Men number 1, I think it kind of paints it like that too, with Magneto being absent from the Quiet Council. It's caused a good amount of I don't want to say disarray, but you can see that there are some cracks in the foundation of Krakoa. And further into these books, now you're seeing separations between Beast and everybody else, because Beast is acting more and more villainous, I think, with each issue, and he has all overall in the X-Force series. You see a lot of cracks between Storm and the rest of Arakko, but Storm, I mean, again, such a great classic character. She's really kind of cementing her place in that. Um, Abigail Brand, who we know is a traitor. I guess the rest of the people don't know here yet, but you got another crack there. The One of the things I really liked about this, they made it a point of bringing back in Warpath, who was recently resurrected, as well as Vulcan, who, from what I've read, um, Hickman had big plans for in the last volume of the Krakoan Age, and it sounded like his twist was going to be great, but he messed it up. So I'm hoping that Dugan and whoever is taking control of these characters, I think Dugan writes X-Men Red. Let me see. Let's see. Writer. Al Ewing. And he's generally a good writer, so I'm happy to see that. Yeah, I'm hoping that he continues, or at least does some sort of a modification with these plans that were supposedly spoiled. Deadpool, Bad Blood number 1. I believe this is a reprint, but I don't know. I really think they just need to give Rob Liefeld his own multiverse with Marvel and just say, yeah, you do whatever you want here, because he is just so stuck in the 90s, not just with his art, but with his storytelling. And I mean, look, you're looking at it, I feel like there's very small characterization. I feel like it reads more like an issue of Young Blood or Bloodstrike or Brigade, whatever the millions of books that Liefeld started and never finished were. There are some art flubs, and I'm not just talking about with his feet. I'm going to put it up on my Instagram. Deadpool has a new power. In fact, I'll put this aside just so I don't forget that. Whereas he has katana swords that mysteriously disappear in between panels and then reappear. So I haven't read about that power, but that's the first time I'm seeing it. So maybe that's a key issue you have to pick up, or laziness on the editor's part at least. Can you edit Rob Liefeld? I guess I don't know. If you watch any of Instagram videos, I used to watch them all the time. I had to stop because it was just exhausting. And if you haven't, definitely check him out. He just is generally so energetic and all over the place. It's like watching Tony Little or something. But yeah, so yeah, Deadpool, Bad Blood, um, not a good book, but I'll put some pictures on my Instagram to show you a little bit more. Okay, Nocterra #9. The Nocterra series is one that, in this next volume, if you recall back from a couple weeks ago, I've also been a little critical of, because it does have a different feel to the book. This is the first time I have to say, since the new volume started, that it feels a little bit more solid to me, and it's because Snyder's focusing on a couple characters, not just the whole big grouping, and I think that's where his strength lies. Um, excuse me. I'm really interested in seeing where they're going with Blacktop Bill, the villain who is now helping them reluctantly, I guess you could say. But yeah, very, very good. And I'll be sticking with this book. Again, kind of interested in seeing where they're going. It sounds like he has a plan for it. I don't know if, when I say a plan, if he's got, okay, I'm going to start here and end here. But it does sound like he's actually working towards something. Not all Image books, I feel, have that feeling to them. The next, jump back to Marvel, She-Hulk #3. I have to say, this was my favorite book of the haul. It's just such a refreshing read. It's very light and it's funny. And here they actually loop it back to the Dan Slott volume of She-Hulk, which I'm a huge fan of, as I've said before. And it's just a great book. Very unique. I can't say that there's anything else around it here. This is, if I had to make a pick of the week, this is definitely my pick of the week. She-Hulk #3. And Jen Bartel cover. She's been doing a great job on the covers as well. What if Miles Morales became Wolverine? This is the second of the What If books this year. Um, I guess it's like a 5-week event type of thing. Last week I talked about the What If Miles had become Captain America. I guess this is in the same vein. I have to, the art, I'll say this, especially the cover, I like a lot better. This is, I believe, Sarah Pacelli on the cover. The story itself is definitely grittier. I like how it started a lot, and I was hoping to see more of that. It does do just a sudden time jump because it kind of has to. Unfortunately, it's all in one book because flipping through the pages, it just feels like they have a bigger story in there. Unfortunately, they had to cram it down into one book. Um, they did kind of do the same tradition as the other book did last week, the What If Miles Became Captain America, where it's not just one change like a What If typically is. Like it's not what if Hulk killed Wolverine and then you see the ramifications from there. No, this is like a total universe change, and that I'm not a huge fan of just because it kind of feels like playtime. It's like, all right, well, playing the part of Sabretooth is going to be Miles's uncle. You know, like I said, this issue I feel like was better done, but I feel like it's the story itself could have used either a second issue or maybe a follow up because at one point all these different Miles are going to meet up, just because it feels like it doesn't have that room to breathe. But overall, I think it was a good story. We're getting towards the end of that. Next is Homesick Pilots #12. If you recall, I looked at #13 last week because I looked them out of order. Homesick Pilots was about to be dropped by me, but I could kind of see more what they're doing now. Um, they're getting out of the kaiju story, which I was not a fan of, and they're relying more on the ghost and sci-fi end of it, which is good. And this issue #12, I have to say, was much better than #13 because it really went and explained more about this final ghost that they're after, and an interesting take. Definitely 100%. Again, I feel like the series is coming to a natural end of it. If not, the story itself is definitely on a decline. But I've been trying to look. I haven't seen any kind of news as far as if the series is ending or whatnot. In fact, the only thing I've been able to see about the series is just reviews. I haven't even seen interviews, which seems a little strange to me. Okay, and the final book I read this week was from AWA Upshot. Uh, this is a mature title. This is Hit Me #2. And again, when I looked at issue #1, I said it. I thought this book was going to be about blackjack. It's set I believe it's set in Vegas, but it's certainly not what the story is at all. And yeah, it's definitely more of an adult themed story. You're not going to see this in the hands of a adolescent, and if you do, grab it from them because they should not be reading this. But it's a great crime story. The way they've done it, it really kind of feels more like a film than a comic. But yeah, the writing is superb. I have to see. I don't think I've read anything from the writer Krista Faust yet, but I'd be interested in going back and seeing what else she's gotten and more of her work. Now I know that AWA has been setting up this kind of shared universe. They've been doing that at least for I think about 2 or 3 years prior to COVID. I know that with Michael Straczynski's book, The Resistance. I haven't read The Resistance myself. I've heard nothing but good things. But I don't know that this is in that same type of universe because you're not dealing with any superpowered individuals. You're not dealing with any kind of global ramifications. This is a straight up crime story. And like I said, it reads more like a movie because it feels almost like something you would either see like a Robert Rodriguez direct, not so much a Tarantino because the dialogue isn't there that way, but yeah, good story. This is part 2 of 5. I really do want to see the rest of the story and how that turns out. Okay, so those are my pickups for this week. This is what I read, I should say, for this week. Again, I didn't have any pickups, so we're a little bit shorter than normal. As far as the videos coming out this week and what you may have missed last week, if you haven't seen my videos last week, definitely check them out. I think it was a good week video-wise, if I don't say for myself. Just go to YouTube, Philtastic Comics and Art. This week I had done 2 videos. The most recent one was a story where I messed up. A friend of mine had sent me a couple books to review about a year ago. I put them aside and forgot about them and found them recently. It's like, oh, I better do this. And I have to say, both books were very surprising. Both were very good. Check out the video. And you know what? If you like what you saw, contact these people and buy some of their books and buy some of their music because, I mean, look, Marvel can afford to put out issue after issue, whether somebody picks it up or not. They probably wouldn't, but you know how it is. Independent guys like these people, like they're from Dummy Comics Inc., which I think is actually based out of New Jersey here as well. You know, that's pure passion. I don't know that these people are making any money from this. You know, I think that if I were to guess that this is more of a passion project more than anything else. And right before I went live, excuse me, the one of the creator of the comic and the producer of the CD for one of the books, which was Fight with Time featuring Lifelong, reached out to me and was very appreciative. They are preparing the second issue, and I said to them, I definitely want to read it. And you know, look, maybe we'll do an interview or something when the time comes on. Just because, again, it's a great book and it deserves to be read. I mean, you think of how many books, uh, comics or otherwise, come out every year of varying quality that just for whatever reason never get read or never get open. It's kind of a shame. So again, if you have time to check it out, I definitely recommend that you do. And you could look in my video. I have all the links in the description. Again, that video was called I Messed Up. The video I did before that was my entry into Brian LCS's 600 subscriber challenge, where I recommended 3 channels, 4 if you include my own, under 300 viewers that I think you should check out. And that's always something good to check out. And I always urge you, even if you don't watch their videos, go ahead and subscribe because it helps. You know, it kind of makes me feel a certain way when somebody unsubscribes because it's like, look, it doesn't cost you any money. It doesn't cost you any attention or any focus. Why do that? But yeah, again, that was the video that came out earlier in the week. That was my Brian LCS 600 subscriber challenge. This week, I have 1 video done already. I'm going to be doing an unboxing. Actually, it's a mega-sized unboxing, 2 unboxings. One was my George Perez CGC submission, which came back. And the other was a Kickstarter comic. Oh, thank you, Brian. The other was a Kickstarter comic I finally received in the mail from Stranger Comics. And check that out. That'll probably be up on Tuesday. And then this week, I'm kind of still up in the air with what my second video is going to be. You know, I've returned to work this past Wednesday, my work computer has not been working, so I still had a little bit of flexibility as far as the amount of time I could put into videos and whatnot. But you know, as stuff starts getting working and my work situation becomes more normal, that time is going to kind of cut down a little bit. I do think the video I'm going to do this week is one that's actually inspired by my son. I'm going to show off. A couple of months ago, I had shown off some artwork that I own, not the ones that I've completed, that I own, that's hanging up in my living room. I do have one piece that's hanging up actually in my bedroom. I'm going to show off, I think, and the little guy seems to really enjoy it. And that was kind of my inspiration for it. So that's my video for this week. I hope that you enjoyed this. And as always, I thank you for giving me your time and your attention. We'll be back here next week, 11 a.m. Eastern. If anything, of course, I'll put up a note somewhere, usually on my Instagram page, saying if there's any kind of scheduling change or scheduling change or scheduling conflict. And with that, I'll leave you as I always do. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your weekend. Get outside. It looks like it's a great day. I'm going to go for a walk, I think. And as always, peace, love, and comics. Take care.